This is the agenda. Can you all see it? Yes, I hope you can see it. I'm going to be doing a presentation of the new learning management system and within Pathways and Basecamp, both for users and Basecamp managers, and in addition, some important notifications concerning EasySpeak. We're not going to get into EasySpeak in great detail, but there's some things that you will need to know. We're going to do a very quick case study into breakout groups. And I'm also going to present some very handy reference materials that will be available to you after this workshop so that you can consult them at your leisure and share them with your members or anyone that you think might be able to use them. The Kahoot quiz that I discussed earlier, and at the end, we will have time for questions and your feedback. Okay, so now, obviously, we're talking about the Toastmasters education program today. We're beginning now, Eva. I'm going to begin the presentation part of the thing, the 25-minute section, all right? Okay, we're starting now. So Pathways is the education program of Toastmasters, and Pathways can be used to be, well, the education program used to be on manuals, written manuals, and they made it online a few years back, around 2018. And they had an application to use it, a platform, so that you could access the education program online. And that platform is known as Basecamp. Basecamp is the platform through which Pathways, the education program, is accessed. However, the platform was not very user-friendly, and many Toastmasters complained that it was very difficult to use. Basecamp managers as well found it very difficult to use. So Toastmasters has upgraded it and made it simpler and easier to use, both for members and for Basecamp managers. And that is what we're talking about today. When I refer to the LMS, that is the learning management system, that is what I'm talking about. This platform to access Pathways and the way Pathways is accessed today. Now, Pathways is the Toastmaster education program. It's online. People pay for it with their fees. When they become members, they pay fees to Toastmasters International, also to their club, but to Toastmasters International. And with those fees, they receive one free path. Progress in Pathways also is measured by, of course, the hierarchy of Toastmasters. And it testifies to club quality through a program with which you're all familiar, the DCP, the Distinguished Club Program, which says how good your club is, according to the criteria set by Toastmasters. And it is mandatory. Members cannot choose whether or not they want to follow the education program. They must do so. If they refuse, then normally they're not following the rules and their membership is in question, because that is kind of an obligatory part of being a Toastmaster. All right. By the way, I will accept questions at the end of this presentation, so do not worry, we will have some time, so no need to stop the presentation to ask questions. There's quite a lot to cover, and I would like to kind of get through it. It was launched in October 2024, this new LMS, and the number of paths was reduced from 11 to 6. There were 11, now there are 6. On the new system, there is a new mobile interface, and this mobile interface makes it easier to use the system on your smartphone or tablet. The other system was not. Completed paths and levels are recorded automatically in Club Central after they have been approved, meaning there used to be a 2-tier system where they were approved and then the VPE or another Basecamp manager had to put them in Club Central in a second step. Now it's all one. As soon as you validate a level or a path, it will automatically be registered in Club Central. This is an important change because those clubs who do have more than enough levels sometimes like to keep a level or two for the following year to help get things started a little more easily. Therefore, if you do want to do that, you must not validate it. If you validate it, it will be recorded. Easier interactivity. Apparently, there's a way to share your accomplishments with LinkedIn and Facebook. I haven't tried it yet, but apparently, and there are a new kind of mini paths called explorations, which do not count for the DCP, but they're there. So 6 paths remain, and they are available for purchase now on Toastmasters.org on Basecamp. They get 1 free path with their when they become members. And the 6 paths that they are able to choose from are now available. The 5 paths that were previously on the system that have been dropped from the new LMS still exist. Oh yes, they still exist. I myself signed up for almost all of the paths, so I have many, many paths, and I can continue to work on them if I've already purchased them before October 2024. But they will remain, if they were in French, for example, they will remain in the old format, which is called the legacy format. And you'll see there's some changes in the format. Level 1 in particular has changed. Level 1 changed in English a while back, but level 1 in French and other languages was still in a legacy format. It was not the same. So you had people doing different projects in level 1, depending on whether their path was in English or in French. This is now changed. However, for legacy paths, the 5 that were dropped, they are still in the legacy system. So you're still kind of going to have a two-tiered system for level 1. All right, moving on. These are the paths. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you print this and put it in a very visible place so that you know exactly which paths are in the new LMS and which ones are not. Especially if you are a leader or a Basecamp manager, you really need to know this. So this is a really, really, really important chart here. You can see the 6 here and the 5 here. And I don't really know exactly what criteria they used to drop them or retain them, but one can assume that the most popular ones were retained. Maybe ones that were similar, like dynamic leadership, maybe was very similar to leadership development. So they decided to keep just 1. Moving on, mobile interface, we saw, okay, social networks, I'll show you this in a bit. Now the levels and the structure of the paths, except for this level 1 that I cited earlier, well, that is going to stay the same. Still 5 levels. The paths have the same structure. The projects are the same, except the level 1 that I described. It's all still the same thing. Explorations, this little mini path with 3 projects each. Now, these are little mini paths for people, let's say, who have gone through so much of pathways already. They want greater challenges. They want more projects. They want do something different. It doesn't count for the DCP, but it's so that experienced, seasoned Toastmasters have something new to do. And they're going to be adding them from time to time. And it's so that they don't have to change all of the pathways system and all of the paths. They can simply add these little mini projects. I think it's more flexible and easier for Toastmasters International to do. So these are the 2. I haven't been able to find them. If anyone does figure out where they are and how to find them, I would be very curious to know. But they are there apparently. Level 1. The legacy format is on the left and the level 1 new format is on the right. Again, in English, you already had the new format. So most of you, because you are English speakers, will not notice this difference. But for those of you who have people who speak other languages in your club and who may have signed up for paths in other languages, they will definitely notice this difference, especially if they hadn't finished level 1 when the new LMS was launched, because they will have to do the new format. So you can see in level 1 legacy format, there were 4 speeches and 1 evaluation, because evaluation and feedback is 2 speeches. So there were 4 speeches and 1 evaluation. Now there are 5 speeches and 1 evaluation, because there's an icebreaker, writing a speech with purpose, introduction to vocal variety and body language, evaluation and feedback, which is 2 speeches, and they have to perform an evaluation. So that is 5 speeches and 1 evaluation. So there is 1 more speech there. All right. Now, what happens if you didn't validate a speech And suddenly, as we heard from Wendy, it disappeared when the new LMS got launched. What do you do? Well, in level 1 in particular, this is a little complicated because the format changed. So in level 1, for example, if you did researching and presenting, but it wasn't validated, well, that is now a level 3 project. So you will have, if you've done icebreaker evaluation 1 and 2 and researching and presenting and did not validate, then your research and presenting must be moved to level 3, and you will still have 2 more speeches to do, plus an evaluation to finish level 1. Okay, so you can see these are the 2 new speeches that appear here. We will address more specific administrative side of that if you need to in the questions. So moving on to just a few comments about EasySpeak and pathways. As Wendy mentioned, EasySpeak is very handy to check what speeches have been done and the dates, because it is a very nice chart, a pathways chart on there. It's very helpful to track it. But basically, what is very, very important to note is that Pathways is the education program and EasySpeak is the application to help manage meetings. They have nothing to do with one another. They are very different things, and the members must understand this. Just because they signed up for a speech on EasySpeak doesn't mean that that speech is validated in Basecamp. And the members need to clearly, but very clearly understand this. All right, moving on. This is the lovely Pathways chart that Wendy said she was able to consult to find her speeches that she lost or she couldn't find on Basecamp. So these, I love this. Now, for those of you who are French members and all that, there's a very complicated thing that you need to do to switch out the wrong workbooks because it hasn't been updated yet. But I think because you're English speakers, we're not going to go into details about that with you today. But there is a kind of complicated administrative process that the French clubs need to do. Now, wait, not the case study yet.
Sorry, Kate.
Yes?
Sorry to interrupt. If you've been sharing your screen, I haven't seen it.
Oh, I am sharing my screen.
Okay, all I see are names, so it could be something on my end then. Sorry.
Okay, well, I will stop share and then start share again because you guys, if you didn't see the screen, that's not good. Okay. Because I've been showing the screen the whole time.
I was watching your screen.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to share again my screen. Okay. Can everyone see this
Yeah.
guide for Basecamp managers now?
Yes.
Kate.
Okay. Were you not seeing anything before? Oh dear.
Yeah, I saw nothing. So
And
anyway,
what about
now I
everyone
see
else?
it.
Did everyone else see my screen or not?
I
could
see
see
it.
You
I could
did.
see your screen.
You could. Okay. Well, thank goodness. I'm sorry, Colleen, but thank goodness everyone else could. Now, I'm going to get back to the case study in a little bit, but now I want to show you this. These are very important resources that have been created by Toastmasters International to help you understand how to use Basecamp. This is a guide for Basecamp managers. The link is here and the QR code is here. I will, of course, be sharing with you a link to a drive where this presentation and all of the documents discussed in this presentation can be found. But so you can actually get this link again later by going into that drive and getting my presentation. You can look in the presentation itself, but this is the guide. The DCP with the educational goals here. Okay, so we have the DCP and pathways for level 1s, 2 level 2s, and all of this. Okay. Now, I did some quick screenshots to show you guys some very important things that you need to know. One is that you have 2 different types of profiles. You have one profile in Toastmasters homepage, and you have a different profile in the Basecamp page. You see, once you go into Basecamp here, you will see a different profile. This is your Toastmasters profile. And in your Toastmasters profile, you can give consent to receive notifications from Basecamp via email, etc. You must consent to it here in My Privacy and Consents. If you do not answer all the privacy and consent questions, I think you will even be blocked from going into Basecamp. So if you notice that a member can't get in, it very well may be that they have not set their privacy and consents here. So you tell them to go back to the home page and go into this thing they go into their login here, their profile, and they will see this privacy and consents. Of course, they must make sure that their email is up to date. If they want to receive emails notifying them that, for example, someone has given them feedback or anything that they have been notified of by email. This prevents members from having to go into Basecamp every time they want to see if they have a notification. It's quite nice to be able to be notified outside to your email. I find it's handy. If people don't want it, they can say no. To go to Basecamp, that is here. So that is from the home page. When you're on the Toastmasters homepage, you see here, that's the home page. You will get this as soon as you log in, you will get this page. You can see go to Basecamp is there. So there we are, go to Basecamp. Now you see there's a different profile when you're in Basecamp. That's this one. Okay, so once you're in Basecamp, you're going to see this little menu here, Learning Dashboard. If you're a Basecamp manager, you're going to see that. You're going to see a little bell. That's a notification bell. Your name is going to appear here. And you have a menu here. Profile, request, My Clubs, Toastmasters, Home, and then sign out. All right, so if you click on your profile, this one, you're going to see this window open. And it will be an introduction about you. You can enter things about your interests. You can put your social media handles if you want to. And also you can enter your meeting roles. Contrary to the previous system where only the most recent meeting role that you played was displayed or even archived, all your dates of meeting roles and roles you have played are continue to be archived. So if you've been Toastmaster of the evening 5 times, you can put each of the times you've done it and all the dates will be saved and archived, unlike the other one, which was just the most recent one, and no one was ever using it because they were just like, oh, the other ones just disappear. But this, you can put your roles. You also see below here your paths in progress. Your requests, that's the next one on the menu. So your request is, you can see if you have requested a level and path validation, you can see what that is. You can also see if you've requested member feedback. You can look here to see it. My Clubs. If you click on this one, you will see all the members of your Toastmasters clubs. You can review their profiles. You can give them feedback. There's a little button to give them feedback. So you can look there. Here is your Toastmasters home. That will take you back to the previous page. The original home page that you open when you first log in. You will see that page. You can view Club Central from there. You can view membership management. You can view the DCP reports and general resources available to Toastmasters there. Now, your learning dashboard. You see here, learning dashboard is up here in this menu. So when you click on that learning dashboard, you are going to see your own learning dashboard. This is actually mine. I have a lot of paths, as I explained. So I have a bunch of paths that are not retained, these ones, but I can continue to work on them. So when you click on that, you will see your own learning dashboard. And of course, when you click on them, you will see those individual paths and where you are on them. Okay, now moving on to evaluations, share them. Well, there are 2 different ways to do so. One is the feedback button here at the top, and the second way is the resource button here, just right next to it. So if we click on the feedback button, you will see all of these resources. If you click on view all, a limited number of them, and you can either modify them directly digitally with this button here, which is the arrow with the modify. You can share them here with this button on the side with the little delta sign. And you can also download them in PDF in all languages, because the ones that appear automatically when you click on feedback are in English. So if you do want them in another language, you will need to either click on the PDF evaluation form link or consult them through resources, because the default is English. Moving on, feedback. also not only serves for evaluation feedback, but also member feedback. If you want to give or request feedback from a fellow member, you can do so by clicking on member feedback and then the appropriate button, request or give feedback, and a form will appear. Fill it out and you can send it to that member. If the member doesn't get it by email, it might mean because they didn't consent to receiving email. If they did not consent, well, they have to go into Basecamp to get it. Now, if we click on resources, then we choose the category we would like, either projects or project description or evaluation. Translated is for other languages. And we choose, if we want an evaluation, we can also choose the language, English, French, for example. Remember, view all is the way to get to all of them. Okay, so we have the languages. We can also filter by favorites. You can put them, if you click on the little heart here, you'll put them in favorites. So you can click on another filter to just see those resources. Again, here, add to favorites by clicking on the little heart, share by clicking on that little symbol here, download by clicking on the download symbol. It's pretty self-evident, I would say, pretty easy to use. Now, Basecamp managers, this is very important. It has changed. Legacy Basecamp managers used to be the VP, president, and secretary of the club, but now it is every board member of the club. Every board member of the club can validate potentially levels and paths. However, you might not want that to happen, so you need to consult with your board and decide who is supposed to validate levels and paths, in what order. If the VP isn't available, then who does it, etc. You need to discuss this in advance to avoid chaos. So how to access Basecamp Manager, you go to Toastmasters, you enter your password, you go to Basecamp, and then you click on that little link, Basecamp Manager, right there. All right, you will see if you are on click on the Basecamp Manager, you will get to the Basecamp Manager dashboard, which has these titles. In approvals, you will see all the things that have been approved. A bunch of things were approved in October because that was when the new LMS was launched, and Toastmasters International approved them automatically. The member overview is a general view of all of the different paths that people are working on and what paths they've completed, their last speech, etc. The one I find the most useful is paths in progress. You will see all of the members who are working in your club and where they are in their paths. Green check marks mean that that has been validated. So you will see that, and you can see sometimes they will have 4 of 4, for example, in a level, and you know they haven't done those 4 projects, in which case you need to go back and talk with the member and explain that they haven't completed all the 4 projects. They might have validated them by accident. So you do need to be up and understand what they're doing. I use EasySpeak for that. Okay, so you can see here, anything that is in dark, when it's in, I would say bold, that means they've done it. The dates don't appear because it was prior to the new LMS. Obviously, the new things that are going to be done, you'll have the dates, but these dates aren't shown. So the person here has done these level 1 projects and these level 2 projects. However, I do happen to know that this member did not do all of these projects. So I got back to the member and explained that they had some missing projects they needed to do before I could validate the level. Recent activity, you can see what they've done here, the most recent thing they've done. One other thing, also the external training request was a previous obligation in the old system, is no longer required. If someone does a speech outside their club, my speech today, for example, is being done outside the club. And I will ask one of you if you could possibly help me to evaluate me on a project which is called Creating Effective Visual Aids. If someone could help me evaluate me for that today. And so I am going to count this presentation for that project. Do I need my VP's permission? No, I do not need the VPE's permission to do that. What I do need to do is indicate to my VPE, and hopefully in my speech log, which is not required, but I can fill it out and put the date and the context of this speech that I did. How did it get done? and who evaluated it. I need to indicate that somewhere so the VPE knows. So the VPE doesn't think I'm just making it up. Okay, so no external request. Toastmasters home. Club Central is down here, so I have to go back home and I go back there and I can click on Club Central. Club Central has membership management, a new button called prospective member management. Quite interesting, because with prospective member management, you can see who has tried to contact your club. You have to make sure that you have some email address that's going to not drop into the black hole, but it will actually arrive somewhere where someone will read it. But here you can receive emails from people trying to contact you through Find a Club. The find on there on the login page, it has Find a Club at the very top. So people will contact you and they will fill in a form and they can ask to participate in a meeting, or they can members to a board member if you like. You can also look at the status of that particular member and track it here. And you have an archive of the various people who have contacted you. So it's quite nice. Incidentally, you can order pins if you like. You can still order them on Toastmasters International. The certificates of completion are sent to the member themselves. If the VPE wants to print them out, they either need to make a screenshot or they need to request that the members send it to them. There's no way at the current time for VPEs to access certificates of members directly, but indirectly you can. This is going to be fixed, I'm sure, but anyway, the member can get them, or you can make a screenshot. You can view it on the screen. Okay, DTM. DTM, in order to apply for it, you need to have completed one path and at least level 2 of a second path. That's for applying for it, to start working on it. In order to finish it, you need all of these qualifications that are listed in this little chart. Okay, so an education award, you submit your request, the VPE approves it. If you belong to more than one club, when you submit your level or path completion request, you have to choose which club you would like to credit. And then once it is validated, it is automatically sent to Club Central. Club officers, such as VPEs, may not validate their own level and path completions. They must have another board member do it for them. Avoid cheating. Finally, you will earn a digital badge and certificate, which you can share on Facebook or LinkedIn. There's direct links to that. Of course, you need to put your handles into your profile to do that. And you receive the accolade of proficient. You can complete the mentor program and earn the title of Pathways Mentor. And if you really want more challenges, you can, of course, look at the Distinguished Toastmaster Award, the DTM, or the Explorations Project that we discussed earlier. The educational achievements will forever remain part of your record. However, the Pathways achievements are prioritary. That is that if you achieve CC or CL in the old program, your Pathways distinctions will appear rather than those distinctions. But Toastmasters knows that you did achieve them. DTM title is acquired for life, and once it is acquired, only DTM appears after your name, not any other distinction. Okay, another thing is that there's a rule about the DCP, and that is only one award type is accepted per year per member. And that means that, for example, if I earn 2 level 2s in the same year, I cannot give those 2 level 2s to my same club. If I'm a member of 2 clubs, I can give 1 level 2 to one club and 1 level 2 to a different club, but I cannot give to the same club 2 level 2s in the same year. That is to avoid one member doing all of the DCP awards for the club, basically. Okay, so we're getting to the end here. All right, we're going to now move on to our case study. All right, I'm done with this presentation. So let's get back to my case study. Let me find it. Hold on. There we are. Case study. All right. So before I stop sharing my screen, I'm going to explain what this case study is about. We're going to break it into 2 groups and discuss the following. Susan, who is a new member of your club, since November 2024, sorry, November 2024, she's presented 2 speeches at your club thus far. And when requesting her speech slots on EasySpeak, she selected the Competent Communication Manual, which appears among the manuals on EasySpeak. It indeed does appear on EasySpeak. She selected 2 speeches, which is Icebreaker and Vocal Variety, in the Competent Communication Manual on EasySpeak. But she has not selected a path on Basecamp. Nope. You can see in her records, no path has been selected for her. So your mission now in your breakout groups is to discuss what issues have been created in EasySpeak and Basecamp by the situation I have just described. How can you fix those issues and avoid them recurring? What are the next steps for the Basecamp manager? That is, what the Basecamp manager do? How should they do it and when? And what are the next steps for the member? What should they do? How and when? All right. Are there any questions about the mission? I'm going to stop sharing now so I can see you guys. Hello?
I just wonder if you could, maybe we should do it all together, shouldn't we? Just
We can do it all
do the
together, I
first one
guess.
all together and then do the next one.
Okay, well, there are
Pretty
2. There's
hard.
only 1, but
Oh,
okay.
okay.
That's all right.
No, it's
Okay.
just a suggestion. I find it quite difficult. I think I've got a Sunday brain today. It's not really working.
Okay, well, all right. We can all go in one breakout group. I can ask Philip to help us. We can do it in 2 groups. Let's do it in 2 groups. Okay.
Just
Because
a suggestion.
it's just a little more complicated to change everything now. I totally get what you're saying, but okay. So, okay.
The meeting rooms, breakout rooms were created.
I would like the 2 groups I would like just a representative of the 2 groups to just kind of just summarize what you concluded. So maybe, I don't know, Wendy, can you do that for our group? And then maybe for the other groups, someone can just choose someone to summarize very quickly what you decided.
Yes, so we said that we emphasized the fact that the member needs to choose a path, and that would actually eliminate quite a lot of aspects of this problem. You know, make it easier for the VPE later, and hopefully avoid that they ever even thought of doing a speech in an old manual.
Exactly. Okay, so that was kind of the crux of our decision. And what would the other group kind of basically conclude? Are you guys back?
Yeah, but I did all the talking, so maybe David could explain what we came up with.
Oh dear, it was quite complex. We ended up discussing how to change the path in EasySpeak, and that is quite complex, and also the importance of the date of the path, if I'm not mistaken. There was that.
Okay. Okay, so basically changing it in EasySpeak. There's ways, complex ways, but there's ways to change the path after it has been performed, the speech has been performed. You can change it in EasySpeak and reassign it to a different workbook, if I have understood that properly. Absolutely. There is a way to fix this in EasySpeak. Yep.
And if you need help, write to me, EasySpeak support. I can help you out for that. We can have a chat.
We have an expert. Yay. Okay, so yes, get them to sign up for a path right away as soon as they possibly can. Normally they should do so before they do their first speech, if that's at all possible, and really hold their hand when they are first signing up for their workbook in EasySpeak so they choose the right one. Okay. All right. So now let us move on. Let me see where we are here. So after if we look at our agenda here, we are on the presentation of the reference materials now. Yay. Okay, so let me get into sharing my screen. Wait, let me see, share. There we are. Okay, here, share. Okay, that's the agenda. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
okay,
Kate.
good. I'm moving around here all the way back. Down, okay, yep. All right, so one very, very, very useful document, which I find is the Bible of pathways, which used to be available on Toastmasters.org, and they took it away, and I don't know why, because it's so great. It is a document developed by Mark Snow. I think he's an Australian Toastmaster. He did every path. He's an incredible person. And he did this wonderful guide, which shows you very succinctly the basic structure of pathways in a chart. It shows you what projects are required, which projects are required but optional. You get to choose which one you want, and how many projects are required in each level, what the levels are for, the DTM program, the Toastmasters Mentor Program, and interestingly enough, it has in the list of projects in this chart that you have that describes each path, they're clickable. And when you click on the name of the project, it takes you directly to the project description and shows you what it is all about. So it is just an absolutely wonderful guide. When I am choosing a project now in my path, I go first here and I say, oh, what project looks like it could fit what I'm going to do? Ah, this one. Okay, let me look at the project description. All right. And I choose my projects from this beautiful, beautiful guide. Okay. So I share this guide with every member when they become a member and tell them this is your guide. And I updated it myself and translated it into French. And I indicated in orange the paths that were dropped. So these paths are clearly indicated as having been in the old system. So you guys, this is the one, all right? Now you have two other guides, reference materials, which is the Basecamp Manager Guide, which I showed you earlier, and the Basecamp User Guide, which is wonderful. And it is done with screenshots, and it explains to users, that is your members, how to use Basecamp. It was quite nice. I incidentally translated it, the Basecamp User Guide, into French. So if any of you guys have French members, I have it in French. I did not translate the Basecamp Manager Guide into French, so too bad. I guess you guys have to speak English. Okay. Next, pathways and system updates. There is a link here that shows all of the different system updates that are going on. And there's an education program, frequently asked questions. So that is something that you can use and consult to check out about that. There are also new Basecamp videos and webinars. And I watched the Basecamp, a new LMS webinar before I did this, and it was very nice. It was a 1-hour webinar explaining the features. And so you can watch that. And there's a whole bunch of videos and webinars you can watch. They're all in English. So if you're a French speaker and don't speak English, too bad, I guess, but they're here. In addition, I made a drive, and I made a folder in the drive, and this is it. This is the link that you can use, and I will put it in the chat as well, to get on the drive containing all of these documents and more, because I also put in a welcome kit for new members in French and in English. I put in lots of stuff in there. So I'm going to put it in the chat later. You will see. And in addition, I also made a workshop satisfaction survey. That is so that you guys, after this workshop is finished, you can tell me what you thought of it. You can tell me if you liked it, if you thought I could do other things better, what was good, what wasn't good about it. I know I went through the presentation quite quickly, and I said I'll take questions after, which I will, but you can complain about it here, all right, if you didn't like it. Now, I'm done with with all of the resources. These are the resources. You will have copies of them in this famous drive. So we're going to move on to Kahoot.